Okay, for what it's worth, I just totally wanted to emphasize something I think is so critical, and something I reassure myself and tell myself too, like, with some frequency or etc. And that kind of is the idea that, like sometimes you get so riled up with this and that, like, whether it be, disproving this or proving someone that told you otherwise wrong, or so many contributing factors into this or that. And it's really an extensive topic, and I really don't have time to really elaborate to a great extent. But the point I want to emphasize is this whole ordeal that, like sometimes like you got to slow down, and just realize that, sometimes, whether it be this or that, it's the whole beauty of all of this is just the consistency in that this day relates to tomorrow, which relates to the next day, and inherently, so to speak, right, to lapse on the principal point is just that it relates to the year, to the month, year, 5 years, 10 years, and etc. Right, and that's how something great is manifested or built or etc. Obviously, in this digital age, things are built to high extents overnight, literally in the extent that, it's so true. Technology's really like expedited the process, literally, but that's not, as has been emphasized to me in a lot of regard. Sometimes it's not to shoot for the stars. Obviously, that's idyllic, right? So true. And it's always possible. Never let a motherfucker tell you what you can't do. That's rule number motherfucking one. At the same token, it's so true that sometimes, like I just illustrated in that kind of theory or thought, about, slowing down, whether it be this or that, and obviously, just making steps. There's nothing wrong, like my own quotation and etc. Baby steps in pursuit of your higher aims is not a terrible disgrace at all. As long as you're kind of moving in the right trajectory and putting down the foundation, whether that be in its infancy or whether that be in the later stages of maturation or etc. Which will increasingly, encourage, expedition, as far as moving faster, right? So I think it's so true, that sometimes you got to slow your roll and just, do the steps. You want this, you do the steps to get it. And obviously that's what sometimes, what this or that doesn't really show you. Honestly, sometimes I love when a person with a progressive message and etc. suggests this whole ordeal that, sometimes there is these, you could play the lottery and etc. and win the lottery and etc. right? Overnight and etc. right? So that's such a true reality, but that's not very likely. And a lot of people don't realize that. And sometimes I love when a progressive messenger suggests this whole ordeal that, sometimes it's the whole ordeal that you totally... it does take, what is it? Inordinate? I think that's the word. That's a good word. Oh my gosh. Inordinate amount of work sometimes, right? So if you see my prior messages, literally, I was playing that Rihanna song. I think it's Drake's in it too. And it's called Work. That's the chorus. Work. And what I was joking and elaborating on to that to a great extent was just like sometimes all it takes to be great or to improve your life is to work. And not always this or that, because obviously it's not always the theory. And again, this is another person's message. The whole ordeal that, work harder is not always the truest sentiment. Obviously, hard work's not gonna hurt, At the same token, it's so true that, sometimes, you work hard till you can work smart. Sometimes you just build that foundation, that groundwork, and obviously, whether someone, even if someone comes at you maliciously and etc., sometimes, the worst thing you can do is lose your composure, because honestly, the greatest thing you want to do in recourse to that is to totally sit back, breathe, and obviously find your options of viable recourse and etc. As far as there's always all this shit is open for discernment, and of course sometimes it's not this, sometimes it's not that. Of course, this is just not to emphasize, but this is a little bit off topic, right? But again, it's so true that it's all open for discernment, and of course beating yourself in the head and punching a brick wall. You might think that's going to help the situation, but obviously it's going to hurt yourself and hinder your progress towards finding resolution. So all I want to encourage is that we all find resolution and etc. Obviously, there's a lot of terrible things that go down. Obviously, so true. But at the same token, I don't want to ramble so much. Obviously, I got to get back to it, but it's beyond the scope of this conversation that obviously, step by step, in the right trajectory, whether that be so fast and within expedition, or literally, you know, at a slower pace, literally over the next 10 years or 5 to 10 years or etc. As has been expressed a lot. You know, I'm not going to pinpoint what I've always been iterating and etc. But sometimes something is manifested actually in reality. Not always what this glamour and glitz showcases and etc. But something is manifested over a period of 8 to 20 years. So that's just a concept that, you know, it's just a dose of realism, and not to discourage anybody, because obviously anything is so possible, especially for people as talented as yourself, or even as myself, or any individual, right, that puts in that effort and also has that good fortune, or etc., right? So that's all for now. Obviously, this was a little bit longer than I wanted to broadcast. Over 5 minutes, like I've been suggesting, is the perfect idyllic situation for this new millennium, as far as nobody can keep their fucking attention span longer than 10 or 15 minutes. Is what I'm not sure if it's Harvard saying this shit, but check with Harvard and see what they're saying. But literally, it's so true that you know, Google was saying, just a random fun fact, I don't know how empirical it was, but you know, people can't keep their attention span for 15 or 20 minutes or even beyond. So at the same token, I thought on the lesser side of that, to be the most critical mass of the situation, 5 minutes is the kill spot, the kill zone, right? So again, working too hard, but sometimes you know, that's what it takes to you know, get to this level or get to that level. Obviously, some things are innate, but you know, it's so true that, you know, like that Rihanna Drake song says, and I posted just a few days ago, work, baby. So that's what it's about. Obviously, work smart, work hard, you can work smart, or work hard and smart. Damn, that's a double whammy, man. So I love it a lot. Obviously, it's a lot of work to be done. Obviously, I'm getting there slowly but surely, right? So blessings to all. Thank you again.